The Hamilton Tiger Cats are 3-point underdogs against the Ottawa Redblacks on Friday night, as the Tabbies will be playing on 3 days of rest after losing to Toronto on Labor Day. The Redblacks have lost 5 straight games, but can Ottawa get it done at home against a tired Ticats team?
This is a prime spot for Dustin Crum to bounce back and show us fools that we don't know what we're talking about at the quarterback position. So, yes, I think the Red Blacks have to absolutely be thinking that this is a game that they can get. Ticats on a short week, being beat up by the Argonauts at home in front of a sold out and the biggest ever regular season crowd at Tim Hortons Field. I like Ottawa to get it done at home and cover.
The Redblacks don't have a choice here. They're currently 2 points behind Hamilton in the East Division standings. They have to win this game. And by the way, they're 0-2 against Hamilton this season. They've already lost the season series. They have to win this game if they're going to make the postseason. By the way, after this game, this is Ottawa's schedule. BC, Saskatchewan, Montreal twice, Toronto twice. That is a tough road to hoe. This is a must-win. The table with this ridiculous short week for the Ticats, which, by the way, I think Hamilton fans are rightfully upset about. This has set the table. The Redblacks have to get it done. If they don't, they may as well pack it in.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. This is the most important game in the East Division to this point in the season. It's going to have major playoff ramifications. And the Ticats are playing with one arm tied behind their backs here. I think Ottawa has shown that they've struggled recently on offense, but Dustin Crum has beaten the Ticats before. I think he does it again. I'm taking the home team here.
Ticats been declawed, one could say. The Toronto Argonauts are 10.5-point favorites at home against the Montreal Alouettes to kick off the CFL's triple header on Saturday. The Argos have a chance to clinch a playoff spot and all but wrap up the East Division with a win, while the Owls are 0-5 against the league's top 3 teams this season. Can Montreal cover or even win on the road?
I actually like this spot for the Alouettes, but I'll let you go first, JC.
Smooth though. Good recovery. No, I have a hard time looking at this line and seeing a circumstance where the Alouettes can cover. And I know it's a massive 10.5 points. I get that. And the Argos are coming down off a Labor Day high, but this team is just better than everyone else in the East. It's as plain and simple as that. And the Alouettes may be the number 2 team, but they're a solid tier below. I think Chad Kelly is motivated by the money that's now in his pocket. I think he's going to have another great performance. And the Alouettes are going to go into another 3-game losing streak.
Chad Kelly has usually bounced back from mediocre performances this season. And what I'm talking about is the 2 interceptions that he actually singled out that he threw in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field on Labor Day, but the Argos still got a big, easy win. And I think Toronto is head and shoulders, maybe even up to their waist above everybody else in the East Division. But the Alouettes know what's on the line here, so I think they come out with a scrappy effort. Montreal was close to covering against BC last week, so the Argos win at home, but it is somewhat of a potential letdown spot after a big rivalry game and a huge win for the Argos against their rivals down the QEW in Hamilton. So the Double Blue win, but the Alouettes cover.
I like the Alouettes to cover here, and it's largely because of how disinterested, frankly, the Argos looked for a lot of Labor Day. They got out to a 17-0 lead, and then they looked like they went on autopilot for 2 quarters just because they could. They're like, yeah, we got this. We know we're the better team, and it's not even close. And they scored, I think, on 4 consecutive drives to close things out. They put up 41 points. But to me, that shows maybe a little bit of complacency from a team that, as we know, is, I think, the best in the league, right? We've got them at number 1 of our power rankings, have for over a month at this point. They're great, but they don't appear interested in killing teams. They appear interested in building leads and then coasting until they have to score again late in the game. So I like the Argos to win, but I like the Alouettes to cover.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are 8.5-point favorites over the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Saturday when they host their prairie rivals in the annual Banjo Bowl. The Riders won the Labor Day Classic in upset fashion in overtime. Though the Bombers are stinking mad about the headbutt Zach Collaros took from Riders defensive end Pete Robertson. Will Winnipeg exact some revenge?
Winnipeg is going to exact revenge and then some on Saturday. I picked the Riders not only to cover a touchdown spread last week, but to win the Labor Day Classic. I am just as confident in this pick this week. Winnipeg is going to win this game, and it's not going to be close. I think it could be 10 points. I think it could be 15 points. I think it could be 20 points or even more. If you're interested in alternate spreads, by the way, I think this would be a good week to take Winnipeg by even more than the 8.5 points they're favored by. Zach Collaros is as angry as I've seen him in his time in Winnipeg, and the rest of the unit, I think, is feeling the same way. The Riders had an emotional victory. It was an earned victory. It was a great victory last week at home. They're going to get stomped this week. I'm taking the Bombers by a bundle.
The home teams dominate this back-to-back series between the Riders and the Bombers, and it's going to be the same thing again, right? The Riders got a close victory last week. Nobody responds better to a off game than Winnipeg in the CFL right now. They're going to come out fired up. They're going to come out with a little something to prove and a little animosity because of that headbutt, and I think they are going to wipe the floor with Saskatchewan. Last year's game, the loss, Saskatchewan can claim, oh no, it didn't really count because of that stomach bug that had them, quote, coming out of both ends in the locker room before games. Just wanted to bring that one back up. Got to bring it back up. I think the Riders should probably call in sick ahead of this game again because they're not going to want to be on the field with what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to do to them.
Dude, I just barfed in my mouth. Zach Collaros is motivated. I would take his prop over. And as always, you can go to 3downnation.com, click on our odds page, and please bet that way to support the site. The Bombers are going to cover. I love what Hodge said about the alternate spread. All signs point to Winnipeg, who probably should have won last week in Mosaic Stadium, but they'll do it at home at IG Field.
And do so responsibly if you bet with us, please. The Battle of Alberta rematch is slated for the late game on Saturday. 9 straight hours of football, boys. I hope you've got a nice butt crevice in your couch if you're planning to watch all of those games this weekend. As the Edmonton Elks are 2-point home favorites over the Calgary Stampeders. That's right. The Edmonton Elks are favored at home. They're 1-22 in their last 23 home games, but they're getting points. Let's go, Edmonton. The Elks are proving all the time with Trey Ford. Can they win a second straight game at Commonwealth Stadium?
I think they can, right? The Elks let last week's game slip away from them, but throughout it all, Trey Ford and that offense were dominating. I thought they were the much better team throughout, and it was just simple defensive penalties at the end of the game that handed it to Calgary. I don't think they make the same mistakes that are a second straight week, even though they've made them before in the past. Chris Jones will be fired up and mad. He's going to come out for the second half of this rivalry rematch with a team that is more focused because now they know for the first time that they can win these games. They believe it. And I think there's going to be a rebound performance from the Elks.
Chris Jones should be mad. His defense coughed up a 15-point lead or advantage, let's say, going into the fourth quarter on Labor Day. And you go back and look at Trey Ford's record. He's 2-2 right now as a starter this season. And the other game was at home against Winnipeg where the Elks went up 22-0. Okay. Those are games that your defense has to close out. If you consider yourself a defensive guru, then you need to be able to get it done. I like the Elks in this spot for many reasons, Trey Ford included. But Jonesy, get your defense playing better, man, to close out some of these games, and you probably would have legitimately been in the playoff conversation. If they don't win this game, you can't even talk about Edmonton having slim chances of making the playoffs.
I still struggle to say that Edmonton has any chance, given where they are right now at 2-10, but I do like their chances of winning this game. I think if the offense can do a little bit more to remain balanced, I think that would go a long way to helping the Elks. I did love how well they ran the ball, But as long as that defense, as you mentioned, Doug, cannot take so many stupid penalties, I do think that the Edmonton Elks can win this game. I'll take them, and I'll even eat the 2 points.